I'm telling you, we have a cure. More than just a therapeutic, we have a cure. But so many things that we've done, and no matter what you do, they try and find fault, and not only fault, vicious. They're vicious people. And you say, why wouldn't they want to have good education, a good military, a strong economy, safety, security? Why would they want to live like they live in Portland, and where they just allow these agitators and anarchists to run the streets? Why would they want that? That's the only thing I haven't figured out. Why would they? And why would these big companies like Comcast? I call it Comcast. It's Comcast, but I call it Comcast because it's a con job. That's NBC mostly. But if you look at that, or CNN, which is so pathetic, why would they do that? Why would they want to have a country that's in turmoil? Because they create it. The fake news is the worst thing we have going. The lamestream, I call it the lamestream media. But you'd think that they'd want to see great education, great country, great security, strong
They
military.
don't want to see you responsible for it. They don't.
It's a crazy thing, Rush. It's the one thing I've never quite figured it out, and they become less wealthy. To a large extent, they become less wealthy. And they're willing to give up their wealth in order to see the country go to hell. Someday when you figure that out, you're going to let me know. Okay?
I'll tell you today. I know exactly what this is. But before, we've got a lot of questions for you from members of the audience. And before we dive into those, I need to ask you something that I've not really had a chance to ask you prior. Before you did this, before 2015, when you came down the escalator and announced in Canada, you had a storybook life. You had an absolutely fabulous life. You had a life that anybody would aspire to. You were very successful. You were happy. You were a media darling. They loved you back then. Why did you decide to run for president and put up with the day in and day out maligning that you get? Because you did not have to do this.
I'll tell you, it's such a great question. And I'd do it again, even though it's far worse. I never thought I'd be involved with a Russia hoax or a Ukraine hoax or be impeached because I made a phone call congratulating somebody that I never met to or spoke to on becoming the president of Ukraine, and all of a sudden you get impeached. And it was a perfect phone call. A letter that fortunately we had it transcribed because they made up the phone call. They said it was totally different. Fortunately, or maybe I wouldn't be talking to you right now in this capacity at least. Fortunately, we had it transcribed. It was transcribed, the exact call. If we didn't, they would have, what Schiff said. He said it before Congress. He repeated my call. It had no bearing on what I said. It was a perfect phone call, and I got impeached over it. I never knew it would be so unpleasant, but nobody has done more in the last 3.5 years as president in the first 3.5 years that I have. Nobody. I mean, if you look at rebuilding the military and the economy and the best employment numbers we've ever had, and we've cut regulations to a point that's so incredible nobody's ever seen. If you look at the Veterans' Choice and the VA accountability, we had people in the VA that would beat up our veterans and beat them up badly. They're infirm, they're not well, they're not feeling well, and you had these animals in there that would beat them up. We couldn't do anything about them. Now, with accountability, you have to account, and we fire them, and worse, we get rid of them. And our vets have a 91% approval rating, the highest we've ever had in the VA. You don't hear those bad stories about the VA anymore like you used to. And now they get immediate doctor attention if they have to wait online. I mean, but that's so many different things. Right to try, where they can try medicines, and I mean, I can sort of give you an example of that with the COVID, because I was in not great shape, and we have a medicine that healed me, that fixed me. It's a great medicine. And had I not gotten it, Rush, it would have been in line for another year probably before they brought it out. Great company, two great companies actually make it, make very similar things, but they both work equally well. And we're going to send it. We're already sending it. It's starting. The process is hundreds of thousands of vials are being sent to the hospitals all over the country. People are going to get immediately better, like I did. I mean, I feel better now than I did 2 weeks ago. It's crazy. And I recovered immediately, almost immediately. I might not have recovered at all from COVID. To me, it's the biggest story. But the press doesn't even want to report that, They talk about the vaccines, and the vaccines are very important, Drush. But this is more important because we can go into hospitals and clean out the hospitals, literally, with people that the vaccines are very important. It's a different stage.
Well, yeah, this is the antibodies that you've
this is the antibody. This is the antibody and Regeneron. It's the most unbelievable thing I've ever seen. And I had a meeting with doctors today. You know, it's always the good thing about when you're president, 11 doctors show up, and they're all the head of Johns Hopkins and this and that. They're great people. But Walter Reed is an incredible place. And these 11 guys came in today. They showed me stats. It's amazing. I don't know that I would have, I don't know that I was not in the greatest of shape. A day later, I was fine, maybe perfect, but I was fine. But a couple of days later, now I'm free. I feel perfect. I'm not taking anything. You know, I'm off any regimen that they gave me. But it was primarily this one drug. And we're sending that and the Eli Lilly version of it, which is very similar. We're sending that to all of our hospitals. We're going to get people better. We got to get it there fast. That's why I'm doing an emergency use authorization. I got to get them to approve it really fast. But I gave them my numbers to put in with the other numbers that they already have, which are very good, excellent. And it's the most amazing thing. And it's not remdesivir. Maybe that helps a little bit, but remdesivir is from not the same thing. This is stuff that is so good. It just wiped out the virus. It wiped it out. It's
well, I'll tell you, we're so happy that
you're... Such a big story to me.
It was scary when we heard that you had tested positive, given your demographics. You know, you were right there in the number one target area for people that have trouble with this, and it's so you sound great. I've been reading that you got a hacking cough and that your voice is hoarse, and you sound perfectly normal to me.
Well, there's always that little that little lingering thing for a couple of days, but no, I have my voice is now perfect. I mean, for a couple of days, it's called the lingering thing. If you have hay fever, if you have something, you have that too, a little bit. But no, this is the most amazing thing that's happened. And I was asking the doctors today, 11 guys, great people, you know, the heads of the biggest hospitals. It's amazing. I guess the president has a lot of power, but everybody shows up. What do you do? I'm the head of Johns Hopkins, or I'm the head of stuff. You know, it's always like, but they're very brilliant people. And I said, how bad was I? They said, you could have been very bad. You were going into a very bad phase. And so it wasn't like it was just going to, like with the kids, where they get it and they get sniffles and they're better 2 days later, right? This looks like it was going to be a big deal. And you know what that means, right? That means bad, because I've lost 5 people, at least 5 people that were friends of mine. One in particular, like an incredible guy who went into the hospital. He was dead within 3 days. And I'm just saying that we have something that will cure this now, and a cure. And without us, without Trump administration, this would never have happened. We poured money into these cures, and we poured money into the vaccines. And the vaccines are coming along great, Rush. I mean, the vaccines, Johnson & Johnson, Moderna, Pfizer, they're all coming along great. A little bit political. You know, they're afraid it's going to go too fast and I'll get credit for it before the election.
Well, that's another thing I wanted to... You know, Mr. President, you have been forced, because of media coverage, to tout your own successes. You have been forced to tell, like you just did in the past 5 minutes here. And it rubs some people the wrong way. They think you're bragging. They think that you're insecure, that you need to constantly... Would you explain to people why you find it necessary to tout your successes rather than let somebody in the White House or a PR-type operation do it for you? Why do you find it necessary to do yourself?
Well, first of all, it's such a great question, and most people can't understand it. As an example, I was nominated for 2 Nobel Peace Prizes.
Three now. Some guy from Italy has nominated you.
Oh, that's good. Well, it won't be written about. When Obama got it, it was the biggest story. I remember very well. He didn't even know why he got it. Got it almost.
And he got his on the come. He hasn't even done anything yet.
That's right. He didn't know. He couldn't explain why he got it, but I can. And one is Middle East peace without any blood. Okay. And by the way, countries are lining up. The other is, if you look at Kosovo and Serbia, they've been killing each other forever. And I got them to be peace and, you know, good stuff. And then I just heard about the third. It wasn't even on the news, okay? You know, I joke about it in speeches sometimes. I'll joke about it. I tell my wife, let's watch tonight. It'll be a wonderful night. And they don't even cover it. They don't cover any good stuff with me. Anything that's good, they don't cover. Anything that's okay or bad, I mean, bad, they make it sound like, you know, like let's do the electric chair thing. But it is the most dishonest. The media are the most dishonest people I've ever met. And that's why I go back to the original. I just don't know why. I mean, they can't hate somebody so much, but I guess they do. But they do it with Republican conservatives. I mean, you've had it before I came along. But never to, I don't think never to this extent. You know, they say that, Newt Gingrich, they said that, the one that got worse than me was Abraham Lincoln. I said, I disagree. They say Abraham Lincoln was just decimated by the press. I said, maybe he was, but it couldn't be worse. If I do something good, they make it look bad. If I do something okay, they make it look like horrible, horrible. And the reason I talk, and I say it, you might as well talk about it yourself because nobody else will. If I give it to our very good people, Kaylee, and we have a lot of good people at the White House. If I give it to them to go out, they won't report it. And did you ever see the way the press, the hostility of the press, the way they scream at these very nice people? They'll make just an ordinary statement and they'll start screaming like a bunch of maniacs. The media.
Well, there are reasons for it.
It's just incredible.
Let me tell you one of the reasons, and
they are sick. It's crazy. Go ahead.
Well, they're in a way they are. I think they have been poisoned to an extent. And I mean this, folks, poisoned by their own hatred. This is not the original reason, but we're into 4 years now that they have tried everything they know to get rid of you. And not a single thing, not a single weapon has worked. These people, if they want to, Mr. President, and Newt's an example. They're able to take out, Sarah Palin's another, they're able to take out and destroy any Republican they choose. It took them 7 years to finally ruin George W. Bush and his reputation in the war in Iraq. But they did it. They got his approval numbers down to the 30s. You in Zogby today are still at 51. They haven't landed a dent, sir. They have not taken you off of your agenda. They've maybe distracted you for now and then, but they haven't stopped you. They can't believe it. They're throwing everything, and so they are doubling down on doing whatever they can to try to get rid of you, just to prove that they can. And it's frustrating as heck that they haven't been able to. It's an amazing thing. And I'm like you. I watched this coverage, and I asked me, how many of the American people realize without being told how basically dishonest and unfair this all is? And you hope that a majority of Americans see it for what it is and react accordingly. But I tell you, it's that, and the fact that you're an outsider. They never thought you were going to win. They didn't even think you wanted to win. They thought you were engaged in a PR stunt in the first place.
Which is false.
Then you're also implementing policies, sir, that they detest. Your agenda is a small government. Well, it was before the pandemic hit. Your agenda is basically pro-freedom, pro-liberty, pro-the American citizen first. You want to make America... Can you believe make America great again's controversial? Who in the world could find a problem with that? These sick people have found a way. Make America great again is reason to destroy you? It doesn't make any sense.
Well, Rush, remember how big the wall was? Everything was the wall, and it got bigger and bigger because they figured there was no way to get it financed because it's a massive, it's thousands of months. The whole thing it's a massive project. It's actually one of the biggest government projects ever. Anyway, so we're building the wall. We're up to 380 miles of wall. Had a huge impact. Nobody gets through this wall. This wall is everything the Border Patrol wanted. I built it exactly. I didn't even agree with them on certain parts of it, but I think they were right. They had to have see-through. They had to have this. They had to have that. It's lined up with all sorts of wires and everything you can imagine. It is the best. Okay, it's the best, and it's had an impact that you wouldn't believe, and nobody thought I was going to get it done. Now it's almost completed. It'll be completed toward the end of the year, very soon. And it'll be about 535 miles. We may even extend it beyond that. But, you have a lot of natural barriers, rivers and mountains and other things that really do a pretty good job. But we're going to have it finished very soon. You don't even hear about it anymore. And you don't hear about how great the border numbers are. People today, I ended catch and release, which was not easy because I had to go through the Democrats. But I ended, you used to catch somebody and they'd release them into our country. And they'd come back 4 years later, but nobody would ever come back for a court case. It was the craziest thing. You'd catch somebody, even a murderer, and then you'd release them into our country. And then you'd say, you have to be back here in 2.5 years to go to trial. And nobody would come back. Only the very dumbest would come back, okay? And that was about 1%. No, that was about 1%. And it was crazy. Catch and release. I mean, there were many programs like that. We got rid of most of them. And it's not easy to get rid of them. You had to go through all sorts of hoops. But I got rid of catch and release. We have a very good border now. Now only people that come in legally are coming in. We have the wall made a tremendous difference. But you notice you never hear about the wall anymore.
Well, not only that, there have been 2 debates, sir, and in both those debates, your first and the vice presidential debate, there have been 2 areas that have never been explored. Not one question asked about. One's gun control, the Second Amendment. The other is immigration.
Right.
That's those are 2 strong areas of yours where the American people are with you by a massive majority support number. So they're not even being brought up.
They don't talk about immigration. And we have immigration down really good. In fact, I was going to do an immigration bill. I have it all done. And then my guy said, why bring it up, sir? You have the same policies that you're already implementing, and why should you go through the controversy of it? I mean, we have a great, the people that wanted the wall generally love what I've done. I mean, because what we've done, and immigration generally. We get a couple hardliners out there, friends of yours. But the people that wanted the wall, I've done far more than I thought. Our immigration now, because it wasn't just the wall, but we had to cut a lot of these crazy things out. I mean, you have chain migration where somebody comes in illegally. We have a killer who killed 8 people on the West Side Highway, ran over 8 people, a terrorist, jihadist, came in through the southern border, and through chain migration, he brings in his mother, his father, his grandmother, his aunts, his brothers, his uncles. He brings in all these people. And I say, wait a minute. And what we've done is incredible on immigration. Think of it. You have killers that come in, and because of chain migration, they're allowed to bring other people in.
Right. That's why they're not asking you about this.
They don't want to talk to me about it. So many things like sanctuary cities. The people in California hate sanctuary cities. I don't know where it gets its political stamina, because the people in California, they see me all the time. I think we'll do well in California. I mean, in theory, you don't win California because everybody likes to vote 3 times, okay, if you want to know the truth. Yeah, I don't know if you ever saw the list.
We're going to get into that later in the program.
The whole thing is crazy. But the people, they want to vote. They vote numerous times, and it's disgraceful. But the people in California, they don't like sanctuary cities. What are you doing with the sanctuaries? You're protecting criminals. Who wants that? And I've had so many people, liberal friends of mine from California, we'd love to get rid of sanctuary cities. With that thug from, as you know, Kate's Law. Remember Kate's Law, which should have been, we tried like hell to get it passed, but we had we left the filibuster, okay? We should have, gotten rid of the filibuster only because I said, Schumer's going to do it. I told Mitch, I said, Mitch, I get along great with Mitch. We had the greatest success in history on judges. We'll be up to 300 judges and 2 Supreme Court judges, and now 3. Hopefully that'll go quickly. I think she's going to go very quickly. So I have 3 Supreme Court judges, but in the first term. That's never happened before. But I said, the problem is, Mitch, as soon as the Democrats do get in, at some point they get in, they will blow up the filibuster. They'll go nuclear, as you know. And that'll be the end of the filibuster, and they'll approve stuff left and right.
Now, news from the WFLA News Center. On the 2-year anniversary, is available everywhere with the iHeartRadio app. Now, #1 for podcasting. News Radio WFLA Orlando, an iHeart radio station.
You know that. Jim Jordan and Meadows has been great. A lot of them have been great. But the Republicans have to get tougher. The Democrats play a much dirtier game. They don't, like impeaching on a phone call. Never forget, sir, did you call the president of Ukraine? Yeah, I did. Why? Just to congratulate. I had 5 guys begging me to call him to congratulate. I never met him before. What do I care?
Right.
So they said, did you call the president? Yes. Well, what did you say? I said, I don't know, a couple of months ago. I called him to congratulate him because he became president. Why? What's the word? Sir, they want to impeach you for that call. I said, impeach me for the call. Impeach me for something, but you can't impeach me. What did I do? I said, congratulations. It's unbelievable. By the way, when they found out, they believed the Schiff version of the call, which he made up standing in front of Congress. Okay?
I saw
Schiff
that.
is a real crook. He made it up. He said 8 times quid pro quo. Think of what 8 times is. That would mean 8 times you've asked for something illegal. on a call, right? Think of what that means. The person on the other side of the call, if you did it once, maybe, twice, maybe, if you did it 8 times, they think you're certifiably insane, right? So Schiff made up the call, and I said, well, there's nothing wrong with the call. We actually took the call because we had the transcript. Fortunately, if we didn't have a transcript, I don't know, would have been my word against a lot of these crooked people. But I actually sent it to the Department of Justice, to some division, and they called up. They said to my people, okay, so what are we looking for here? In other words, these are guys that look at drug deals and murders, and they're going like, okay, explain to us, what are we supposed to... In other words, after having read the call, they're saying, what the hell is wrong with this thing, right? They impeached me. So you have to be... They are meaner, but they have bad policy. Open borders, sanctuary cities, high taxes.
Let me try to simplify this. One of the things I've tried to learn to do over the course of years is to make the complex understandable. I think this election, sir, is really simple to explain to particularly people who are undecided, and I don't know how many of those there are. I frankly don't know how you can't be decided by them, but this election is really, it boils down to two propositions. One is, it's between a man, you, who believes America is good and decent and great,
right,
against people who are behind Joe Biden, who think America isn't good. They think America is unjust and immoral from the days of our founding, and they are trying to undermine and transform this country as founded. And that's why you are undermined, and that's why your successes are hidden. That's why your successes are distorted and lied about. It's no more complicated than that. If you love this country, if you love America, the America you think exists, you don't have a choice in this election. Your only choice is President Trump. If you don't support President Trump here, you are going to end up facilitating the transformation of America into a country it was never intended to be. You're going to have $13 a gallon gasoline with the Green New Deal. You're going to have so much disruption in your life that you can't possibly imagine. And don't doubt me, they're not going to be honest with you about this. But that's really what this is about. You are good. You believe America is good. You believe America is great. You want to keep it that way, and you want to solidify it, and you want America's greatness to be enshrined and empowered for decades beyond you.
And America has great potential, too, because any shortcomings, we can solve those shortcomings, but they're going to make them much shorter. I mean, America has tremendous potential. When you look at what we've done with energy, and they want to take that advantage away and give it to these other countries that are going to always have energy. When you look at the environment, I'm very important. I love the environment. I want clean air. I want clean water. I want, and by the way,
you shouldn't even have to say that. You shouldn't have to say everybody wants clean water. The fact that they're out there claiming you want dirty water and dirty, you shouldn't even have to say you like clean water.
Yeah,
it's outrageous.
Like the forest fires in California. If we had forest management, you wouldn't have any forest fires. In Europe, you go there, they have forest nations. They call them Austria, different places. They don't have the woods burning down, and their trees are more explosive than ours, meaning explosive from potential fire. They have trees, and they have... they maintain their forests, and they put cuts in between. So if they have a fire, it doesn't burn down 500,000 acres. They do it properly. Our people don't do that. And then we talk about, they want our air clean, but they don't talk about China, Russia, India, these other countries where the pollution is massive going up. So we have a clean spot on a massive planet. We have a clean spot, which is a small percentage of the planet. A very small percentage of the planet, and then China spewing crap, and Russia, and all of these other, India. And did you ever see what they dump into the ocean that floats into California?
Yeah, that's
unbelievable.
Exactly right, folks.
And we end up cleaning it up, and then they say, well, the environment. I could tell you hundreds of stories. A lot of what you and I talk about is really based on common sense. People say, are you a conservative? I say, no, I'm
based on common sense and love of and for country and people.
Yeah, that's true. That's very true.
Now, I got to get to some questions. We've been, I'll tell you something, sir. When we went through the questions, and literally, I'm telling you, I've never had a response like you generated when your appearance was announced. It's the most amazing thing, sir.
Well, I think you're going to see that.
You know what?
I think you're going to see that come November 3rd and a little before that, because our people don't want to send in these fake ballots that are being fraudulently made all over the place.
We're going to get into that, but you know what? Probably one of the most mentioned topics in the questions was health care. People are scared. Let me give you a sample question. Dear President Trump, this is a woman in Massachusetts named Kathy. I'm glad that you and the First Lady are recovering from COVID. So happy you are our president. Thank you for all you do to defend us. My questions about health care and pre-existing conditions are very important to me and a lot of Americans. I believe you said pre-existing conditions will be covered in your health care plan, but please, could you explain this a little more? Because there are a lot of people saying that you're not going to cover pre-existing conditions, and you need to get your message out. Since the Democrats are trying to malign you on this, and we need to know, pre-existing conditions are a big deal. Does your plan cover them?
So the Democrats are vicious and they lie. And what they do is, as an example, healthcare and other things, they have me standing at a grave of a beautiful soldier in an old cemetery, magnificent cemetery, and nobody respects soldiers more than I do, especially whether you're talking about live soldiers or soldiers that gave their lives. And they have a source say, these are suckers and losers. This was for a magazine that's third rate, super liberal Obama magazine. And it's a quote. They took that quote from one source. I have 25 people that verbally, on the record said, that was never said. Who would ever say that? Only an animal would say that. I don't know. I know some very bad people. Nobody do I know that would say a thing like that. They put it in ads. They make it like I said it. I never said. Just the opposite. I've taken care of the military better than anybody. They do the same thing with health care. They will make up a statement that's so bad. Now, pre-existing conditions, I'm totally for it, but I'm against Obamacare because Obamacare is too expensive. I already got rid of the individual mandate, which was the worst part of Obamacare. That's where you had to pay a fortune for the privilege of not paying for bad health insurance. You understand that,
yes,
right?
Sir.
So I got rid of it. And I got rid of it through the law. I got rid of it in our tax decrease. We got the biggest tax decrease in the history of our country. We would have never been able to build up the economy if we didn't get that. But one of the things I got in there, I got rid of the individual mandate. And what I want to do is, and we're fighting to terminate, it's sort of I have terminated Obamacare, because once you get rid of the individual mandate, it's no longer Obamacare. But I had a choice to make, Rush. It was a big choice. Do I maintain Obamacare, the remnants of Obamacare after the mandate? Do I maintain it well, or do I run it badly? I could have done it either way. I have very good people over there, Alex Azar and Seema, the whole group. I said, you know what? We got to run it as well as it can be run. I have no choice. I could have run it really badly and made everybody angry, but I didn't do that. I ran it really well. Knowing that it's run really well, it's still no good. It's still not good. It's much better than when they ran it. They couldn't even remember they spent $50 million or $5 billion on the server, if you remember. They couldn't get the server right.
I do remember. But there still is this confusion about pre-existing conditions out there. And it's a frustrating thing because it's not even the correct title for what the plan does, but that's what people think, and so that's how you have to deal with it.
It's correct. But what they do is they love to say that I'm going to get rid of pre-existing conditions. No, I want to terminate Obamacare and then come up with a great health care plan that's much less expensive and does include people with pre-existing conditions. That's what I want to do. Now, they'll also say about Social Security.
You need a Republican Senate for that, and you need a Republican House for that.
That's right. In order to do that, what will happen is if we win, the Democrats will do something to help get health care. I mean, they're going to come along because they have no choice. They're going to come along. They have no choice. I will say one thing. We talk about unity because I'd like to see the country come together. It's not as easy as people think. But just prior to the plague coming in from China, when the plague came in from China, people were calling. We had the lowest unemployment we've ever had. We had the best employment. We were up to 160 million people employed. We never were even close. Everybody had a job.
We've had the lowest African American unemployment in history since records have been kept.
That's right, Rush. So we had the best numbers ever. We had the highest stock market, although I tell you, we're inches away right now for people's 401ks. If they held on to their stocks, they're very wealthy right now. And our economy is doing really amazing. I mean, considering that we're in the, this pandemic thing sent to us by China. But if you look at what we've done, and people were calling me, Rush, in terms of bringing our country together, that I really had never heard from before. In other words, they were not interested. And they were saying, let's start getting together. It was coming together. Success was bringing our country together. And then we got hit by the China plague. But success, Rush, even you might be surprised to hear that. People that you would have said no way were calling and saying, can we get together? And it was coming together because success, and I've always said success will bring us together. Our military is strong. When I took over, we had no ammunition. We had a case where a certain general, highly overrated general, told me we have no ammunition. And I said, what are you talking about? I say, no president should ever be told that again. Now we have so much.
I heard you say that. I was frankly surprised that we were low on ammo. I mean, I don't think I've ever heard that.
He said, sir, we have no ammunition. Okay? And I said, keep that very quiet. And then we started building up. And now we have new rockets, new missiles. We have stuff, the likes of which Russia dreams of the stuff that we have. China dreams of the stuff that we have, Rush, and we can't talk about it, and we shouldn't talk about it. We have things that, and hope to God we never have to use it. Our nuclear is all tippy-top now, and you don't want to even say it. We have no choice but to say it. We were so far behind. If you look, I call them O'Biden. Obama and Biden, what they did to our military was horrible.
And economy. I mean, they were telling everybody that we need to adapt our expectations to a new era of decline.
That's right. No manufacturing.
America's best days are behind us. I mean, it was outrageous. And, GDP 1.5% max every year.
Right. No, we were, but it was coming together, Rush. And I'm telling you, and you would be a skeptic, maybe almost more than
I know it was coming together. I am a skeptic.
Together for the first time. For the first time.
I am a skeptic on this. Believe me, more than you know.
I think so. That's true.
I got another question for you, Mr. President. This is Mary in Missouri. This is our second most mentioned topic that people want to hear you address. Mr. President, drives me crazy that the Democrats can call all of us out here racist and sexist just because we don't agree with them. It's the easiest thing in the world to call somebody racist because nobody wants to be racist or anti-anything, and we aren't racist. Why do Democrats get away with it, sir? And how do Republicans say enough is enough? We are tired of being called evil racist when all we want is for all Americans to be free, to have the blessed opportunity this Constitution and country offers everybody. We want a healthy and safe future, and we love everybody. How do we deal with this, sir? How do we finally shut this down? What would you tell her?
I've watched this for a long time. I've had it.